Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm so grateful you have joined me today, and I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. There comes a time in your life when you must make a decision, not based on emotions, but on destiny. Too many people hold on to relationships that were meant to expire long ago, and the danger of clinging to the wrong people is that they can cost you your purpose. A man who disrespects you is not confused. He is showing you his truth. A man who manipulates you is not making a mistake. He is revealing his character. A man who constantly disappoints you is not just going through a phase. He is demonstrating his pattern. And you must understand this. Patterns create futures. If you continue to allow a man's destructive habits into your life, you are agreeing to be a participant in your own downfall. Some of you are praying for clarity, but the clarity has already been given. It's in the pain you keep ignoring, the red flags you keep excusing, and the cycles you keep repeating. There is no success in loving a man who does not love you with respect, with integrity, and with a sense of honor. You are not obligated to hold on to what is hurting you. You must understand that some men are not just bad for you, they are a roadblock to your destiny. They will drain your energy, delay your progress, and diminish your sense of self-worth. And if you do not cut them off, you will become a prisoner in a cage you built with your own tolerance. Listen to me. If a man lacks vision, he cannot lead you anywhere meaningful. If he has no discipline, he will bring disorder into your life. If he does not value commitment, he will introduce you to chaos. You cannot afford to attach your greatness to a man who is comfortable in mediocrity. The greatest deception the enemy ever introduced was the belief that you must endure toxic love in order to prove your loyalty. But let me tell you today, your loyalty is first to yourself, to your purpose, and to the God who created you. Some of you are waiting for closure, but closure is a choice, not an event. You do not need an apology to move on. You do not need permission to walk away. You do not need another moment to waste on what has already shown you its expiration date. It is time to make a decision. Will you continue to entertain what is draining you, or will you step into the freedom that awaits you? Will you keep allowing your value to be compromised, or will you choose to protect your heart, your mind, and your destiny? Disrespect and manipulation are the silent killers of self-worth, yet many endure them, mistaking them for love, patience, or compromise. When a man repeatedly disrespects you, he is not making a mistake, he is making a choice. Disrespect is not always loud. Sometimes it is in the subtle ways he disregards your feelings, dismisses your concerns, or makes you feel small in the moments you need the most support. It is in the eye rolls, the condescending tones, the refusal to acknowledge your intelligence or contributions. Over time, this type of treatment chips away at your confidence, making you question your own value. Manipulation follows close behind, operating in deception and control. A manipulative man knows how to twist your emotions, making you feel guilty for his own wrongdoings. He will shift blame onto you, making you believe that his failures, his anger, or his mistreatment are somehow your fault. He will use words as weapons, turning your kindness into weakness and your love into a trap. If you call him out on his actions, he will gaslight you, making you question whether you are overreacting or imagining things. This is not love. It is a strategy to keep you under control. A disrespectful and manipulative man will never change as long as you tolerate his behavior. Every time you excuse his actions, forgive without accountability, or remain silent in the face of mistreatment, you teach him that his behavior has no consequences. And the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to leave, because manipulation breeds dependence. He will break you down and then convince you that only he can build you back up. He will create chaos and then present himself as the only solution. This cycle is not love. It is a slow erosion of your dignity. No one who truly values you will make you beg for respect. No one who genuinely loves you will manipulate your emotions to serve their own selfish desires. If a man does not honor your worth in his words and actions, he is showing you that he does not deserve access to your life. A man without integrity is a man without a foundation. Integrity is not just about being honest when it is convenient. It is about being truthful even when no one is watching. When a man lacks integrity, his words and actions never align. He will say one thing and do another, making promises today that he will break tomorrow. He will tell you he loves you but treat you with indifference. He will promise you a future but give you uncertainty. His inconsistency is not a flaw. It is a reflection of his character. A man who lacks consistency cannot be trusted because stability is built on reliability. One day he is present, attentive, and affectionate, and the next he is distant, cold, and dismissive. He shows up when it benefits him, but disappears when you need him most. He apologizes after every mistake, but repeats the same behaviors, expecting you to accept them. You find yourself constantly trying to figure out which version of him you will get each day. A relationship built on inconsistency is a relationship built on confusion. And confusion is the enemy of peace. A man without integrity will tell you what you want to hear rather than what you need to know. He will give you empty words, knowing they have no weight. He will manipulate situations to avoid accountability and twist the truth when it serves his own interests. Over time, his lack of integrity will make you doubt your own instincts. You will start to question whether you are asking for too much, when in reality, you are only asking for what should be basic: honesty, reliability, and respect. A man's consistency is a reflection of his commitment. When a man truly values you, he does not make you guess his intentions. He does not make you chase clarity or fight for reassurance. A man who is inconsistent is a man who has already chosen himself over you. And a man who lacks integrity will always choose deception over truth, convenience over commitment, and self-interest over love. Emotional and psychological abuse is one of the most destructive forms of mistreatment because it does not leave physical scars. Yet it deeply wounds the mind and soul. It is subtle, often disguised as love, concern, or protection, making it difficult to recognize until the damage has already taken hold. A man who engages in this form of abuse does not need to raise his voice or his hand to control you. He only needs to manipulate your thoughts, break your confidence, and make you question your own worth. It begins with small things like constant criticism masked as jokes or constructive advice. He makes you feel like you are not smart enough, strong enough, or capable enough to make your own decision. He plants seeds of doubt in your mind, making you feel like everything is your fault. If he is unhappy, he will blame you. If he fails, he will say you did not support him enough. He will control how you think, what you believe about yourself, and how you see the world around you. Over time, you start believing his words, and before you realize it, you have become a prisoner in your own mind. Psychological abuse thrives on isolation. He may slowly separate you from your friends and family, making you believe they do not care about you the way he does. He will convince you that you do not need anyone else, that he is the only one who truly understands you. When you feel alone, you become more dependent on him, giving him complete control over your emotions. His words dictate your mood. His approval determines your happiness, and his validation becomes your only source of self-worth. This type of abuse is dangerous because it is invisible. No one sees the weight you carry inside, the exhaustion of trying to be good enough for someone who is never satisfied. It leaves you drained, insecure, and questioning your reality. You start doubting your own feelings, apologizing for things you did not do, and living in a constant state of fear, fear of upsetting him, fear of speaking your truth, and fear of losing someone who has already broken you. A man without purpose is a man without direction, and a man without direction will lead you nowhere. Stagnation is not just about laziness. It is about a mindset that resists growth, avoids responsibility, and settles for mediocrity. When a man has no vision for his own life, he cannot possibly contribute to yours. He will pull you into a cycle of complacency where dreams die, ambition fades, and progress becomes impossible at first. His lack of purpose may not seem like a problem. You may tell yourself he is just figuring things out or going through a rough patch, but over time you begin to see that his stagnation is not temporary, it is a choice. He has no plan, no hunger for growth, and no desire to build a future. He talks about success, but never takes steps toward it. He complains about his situation, but refuses to change it. His life is a constant loop of excuses, distractions, and wasted potential. A man without purpose will also hinder yours. Instead of encouraging you to chase your dreams, he will mock them or make you feel guilty for having them. If you try to grow, he will resist because your progress reminds him of his own lack of movement. He will drain your energy with negativity, making you feel guilty for wanting more out of life. Instead of being a partner who pushes you forward, he will be a weight that holds you back. Without a clear sense of direction, his time is spent on meaningless distractions, mindless entertainment, unhealthy habits, and people who add no value to his life. He has no discipline, no focus, and no urgency. And because he does not value his own time, he will not value yours. A man's purpose gives him drive, determination, and a sense of responsibility. Without it, he becomes passive, indifferent, and unreliable. No relationship can thrive in the absence of growth, and no woman should tie herself to a man who refuses to evolve. When you attach yourself to stagnation, you begin to shrink. Your dreams become smaller, your ambition weakens, and your potential is wasted on someone who was never willing to move forward in the first place. Control and isolation are not signs of love, they are tools of domination. A man who seeks to control you does not want a partner, he wants ownership. He does not see you as an individual with your own thoughts, dreams, and choices, but as something he must mold, restrict, and keep under his authority. Control does not always come as aggression. Sometimes it comes as subtle manipulation, disguised as care. It starts with small demands, checking your phone, questioning your whereabouts, making decisions for you under the pretense of knowing what's best. Over time, these actions escalate until you no longer have the freedom to think, act, or live without his approval. Isolation is one of the most powerful weapons of a controlling man because it removes your sources of support and perspective. He may discourage you from spending time with family, criticize your friends, or create conflict between you and the people who love you. At first, he may convince you that certain people do not have your best interests at heart. He will say they are jealous, unsupportive, or trying to ruin your relationship. Little by little, your world begins to shrink until he is the only voice you hear. Without outside perspectives, his influence over you becomes absolute. A controlling man uses emotional manipulation to keep you dependent. If you challenge his authority, he will turn the situation around and make you feel guilty. He will accuse you of being ungrateful, disloyal, or selfish for wanting space. He will make you feel as though your independence is a betrayal. Over time, you may start to believe that his control is a form of protection, that his possessiveness is love, and that his dominance is strength. But true love does not imprison, it empowers. A relationship built on control is not a partnership, it is a dictatorship. When a man takes away your freedom, he takes away your identity. If you are forced to sacrifice your voice, your choices, and your connections to make someone else feel secure, you are not in love, you are in captivity. No one who truly loves you will require you to shrink in order to make them feel bigger. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, and once it is broken repeatedly, the structure cannot stand. Betrayal is not a mistake, it is a decision. A man who consistently lies, cheats, or deceives you is not struggling. He is making a choice to dishonor you. Every broken promise, every hidden conversation, and every act of disloyalty chips away at the very essence of trust. The first time it happens, you may convince yourself it was a moment of weakness. The second time, you may believe it was a misunderstanding. But when betrayal becomes a pattern, it is no longer an accident. It is a behavior. A man who betrays you once and is truly remorseful will make every effort to rebuild what he broke. He will be transparent, accountable, and consistent in his actions to regain your trust. But a man who continues to betray you, offering apologies with no real change, does not fear losing you. He only fears losing control over you. He expects you to accept his excuses, to lower your standards, and to remain loyal to someone who has no loyalty to you. The pain of betrayal runs deep because it makes you question not only him, but also yourself. You begin to doubt your instincts, wondering if you are overreacting or if you should give him yet another chance. You wrestle with conflicting emotions, torn between the love you feel and the reality you see. But love without trust is an illusion. No matter how much you care for him, if his actions continuously break your spirit, that is not love. It is emotional warfare. A man who repeatedly betrays you is showing you that his needs, desires, and impulses will always come before your dignity. He is telling you through his actions that he does not respect your heart enough to protect it. Forgiveness is a virtue, but blind tolerance is a weakness. A man who truly values you will do everything in his power to protect your trust, not repeatedly destroy it. And the longer you accept betrayal, the more you teach him that you are willing to live without the security, honor, and commitment you deserve. When a man does not share your spiritual and moral values, there will always be a disconnect that no amount of love, patience, or compromise can fix. Your beliefs shape your decisions, your perspective, and your purpose in life. They are not just ideas. They are the foundation upon which you build your future. If a man does not walk in alignment with your values, he will ultimately lead you down a path that conflicts with your convictions. At first, the difference may seem small, something you believe you can overlook or work around. But over time, it becomes the source of tension, confusion, and compromise. You will find yourself in situations where your conscience is at war with your emotions. He will make choices that contradict what you stand for, and you will struggle between holding on to your beliefs or holding on to him. He may dismiss what you value as unimportant, mock your faith, or pressure you to accept things that go against your core principles. The moment you begin justifying actions that make you uneasy, you have already started losing yourself. A man who does not align with you spiritually will not lead you in the right direction. If he does not respect your commitment to faith, he will slowly pull you away from it. If he does not honor morality, he will introduce behaviors and influences that compromise your integrity. Instead of building with you, he will create distractions that derail your growth. Instead of encouraging you to walk in purpose, he will lead you into cycles of uncertainty, guilt, and regret. Love cannot thrive where there is no shared foundation. No matter how much passion, attraction, or history you share, if your spirits are not aligned, there will always be division. The deepest relationships are not built on emotions alone. They are built on values, principles, and a shared vision for life. When a man does not honor the things that define you, he will eventually cause you to abandon the very things that make you who you are. And the moment you compromise your spiritual and moral compass for the sake of a relationship, you risk losing not only your direction, but also yourself. The truth is, love should never cost you your peace, your dignity, or your sense of self. A relationship is meant to uplift, not diminish. It should bring clarity, not confusion. The moment you find yourself justifying disrespect, enduring manipulation, or shrinking to fit into someone else's comfort, you must recognize that you are not in love, you are in bondage. A man who does not honor you, value you, or align with your purpose is a distraction, not a destiny partner. Staying in a relationship that drains you is not an act of love. It is an act of self-betrayal. You cannot fix what refuses to be healed, and you cannot build a future with someone who is committed to keeping you stuck in cycles of pain. Your heart, your mind, and your soul are too precious to be placed in the hands of a man who does not know how to cherish them. You were never meant to beg for respect, to fight for consistency, or to lose yourself in the process of loving someone else. Walking away is not weakness, it is wisdom. Cutting ties with a man who does not deserve you is not failure, it is freedom. Your life's purpose is far too great to be derailed by someone who cannot see your worth. The moment you choose yourself, the moment you reclaim your power, is the moment you make room for the love, peace, and purpose that were always meant for you. Let go of what weighs you down so you can rise into the life you were created to live. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am so grateful you have joined me today, and I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. There is something powerful about a woman who knows her value. She carries herself with dignity, speaks with wisdom, and walks with purpose. She does not beg for attention because her presence commands it. But many women unknowingly weaken their own value in front of men. They allow certain habits, thoughts, and behaviors to strip them of their influence. And today, I want to remind you, your worth is too great to be diminished by things that should never have power over you. The first thing that destroys your value is when you fail to respect yourself. If you do not set boundaries, if you do not stand firm in your principles, others will decide who you are for you. You cannot demand respect from a man when you do not first give it to yourself. A woman who honors herself does not settle for less than she deserves. She does not tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or dishonor. And the moment you allow yourself to be treated as an option rather than a priority, you have already surrendered your worth. The second thing that kills your value is desperation for validation. When you constantly seek approval, when you need someone to affirm you, you give away your strength. Listen to me, your value is not determined by a man's opinion. It is not measured by how much attention you receive. True confidence comes from within. A woman who knows who she is does not chase. She attracts. She does not beg. She inspires. If you need external validation to feel worthy, you will always be at the mercy of others' approval. The third destroyer of value is when you neglect your personal growth. A woman who stops learning, who does not develop her mind, who does not cultivate wisdom, becomes ordinary. And you were never created to be ordinary. A strong woman invests in herself. She reads, she learns, she builds skills, she sharpens her intellect. She does not rely on her appearance alone because beauty fades, but wisdom endures. If you do not grow, you become stagnant. And anything stagnant loses its impact. One of the greatest killers of value is compromising your standards. The moment you lower your principles to fit someone else's desires, you lose yourself. A woman with standards is not arrogant, she is secure. She understands that not everyone will qualify for her space, and that is okay. You do not have to be everything for everyone. You only need to be true to yourself. Do not trade your values for temporary affection. Do not surrender your morals for the illusion of love. The right person will respect you more for standing firm than for bending to fit their expectations. Hear me well, your value is not negotiable. It is not something you have to prove. It is something you must embody. You are strong, you are wise, and you are full of purpose. Do not allow anything or anyone to diminish that. Walk with confidence, speak with authority, and live with the conviction that you are worth more than you can imagine. And when you do that, not only will men respect you, but you will inspire them to rise to a higher standard themselves. There is nothing more destructive to a woman's value than a lack of self-respect. The way you see yourself determines how others will treat you. When you do not honor your own worth, when you tolerate disrespect, and when you allow others to define your identity, you weaken your influence. A woman who lacks self-respect accepts behaviors that diminish her dignity. She stays in situations that dishonor her because she fears being alone. She settles for relationships that drain her because she believes she is not worthy of better. She remains silent when she should speak up, thinking that avoiding conflict will bring peace. But in reality, it only deepens her suffering. Self-respect is the foundation of confidence. It is not pride. It is knowing who you are and refusing to accept anything that contradicts your value. When a woman respects herself, she sets boundaries. She does not entertain people who belittle her, manipulate her, or make her feel small. She does not lower her standards to fit someone else's expectations. She does not chase after love. She positions herself as someone who deserves to be pursued with honor. But when self-respect is missing, desperation takes its place. A woman who does not value herself will seek approval in all the wrong places. She will tolerate inconsistency. She will make excuses for mistreatment. And she will allow herself to be used, believing that if she just gives more, she will be loved more. People respond to how you present yourself. If you treat yourself as an afterthought, others will do the same. If you compromise your principles, people will test how far they can push you. But when you walk in self-respect, you set a standard that commands honor. Desperation for validation weakens a woman's presence and makes her dependent on external approval to feel worthy. When a woman constantly seeks affirmation from others, she places her identity in the hands of those who may not even value her. She becomes consumed by the need to be liked, noticed, and praised, believing that her worth is determined by how much attention she receives. This need for validation leads her to compromise herself, altering her personality, beliefs, and decisions to gain approval. She begins to measure her value by how people respond to her rather than by who she truly is. A woman who seeks validation at all costs often attracts the wrong people. She surrounds herself with those who take advantage of her need for affirmation, using her insecurity to manipulate her. She may tolerate toxic relationships because she equates attention with love. She may lower her standards because she fears rejection. She may engage in unhealthy competition with others, believing that being chosen over someone else makes her special. But no amount of external approval can fill the emptiness that comes from not recognizing your own worth. The more she depends on people's opinions, the more unstable her confidence becomes. True security comes from within. A woman who knows her value does not need to prove it to anyone. She does not beg for recognition, nor does she rely on compliments to feel complete. She understands that validation from others is fleeting, but self-acceptance is lasting. She does not shrink herself to fit someone's idea of who she should be because she's already whole. Desperation for validation is a trap that keeps a woman in a cycle of insecurity, making her easy to control and difficult to respect. Neglecting personal growth limits a woman's influence, weakens her confidence, and makes her dependent on others for direction. When a woman stops investing in her mind, spirit, and skills, she becomes stagnant, and anything that ceases to grow eventually loses its strength. A woman who does not prioritize her own development may rely solely on external factors such as beauty, status, or relationships to define her value. However, these things are temporary, and without inner growth, they will not sustain her influence or self-worth. A lack of personal growth makes a woman vulnerable to mediocrity. She becomes comfortable with routine and resists challenges that could expand her potential. She may settle for less than she is capable of because she does not believe she can achieve more. She may avoid learning new things, exploring her talents, or seeking wisdom, leaving her unprepared for life's opportunities and struggles. When she stops growing, she limits her ability to contribute meaningfully to conversations, relationships, and society. Her presence becomes predictable, and over time, people may stop seeking her input because she has nothing new to offer. A woman who neglects personal growth often finds herself feeling unfulfilled. She may compare herself to others who have advanced in life, wondering why she feels stuck. She may feel dependent on a man or relationship for her sense of purpose because she has not developed an identity outside of external validation. But a woman who values growth invests in herself. She reads, learns, and challenges herself to improve daily. She does not wait for someone to complete her because she is committed to becoming the best version of herself. A mind that continues to expand increases in wisdom, confidence, and influence. Compromising standards weakens a woman's identity and causes her to lose respect in the eyes of others. When a woman lowers her principles to accommodate someone else, she sends a message that her values are negotiable. She begins to tolerate behaviors she once stood against, allowing her boundaries to be crossed in the hope of keeping a relationship, gaining approval, or avoiding conflict. The moment she starts justifying what she knows is wrong, she sacrifices her dignity for temporary validation. A woman with strong standards sets the tone for how she is treated. When she upholds her values, she establishes a level of respect that others must meet to be in her life. But when she compromises, she teaches people that they can push past her limits without consequences. She may allow disrespect and call it patience, excuse dishonor and call it love, or tolerate inconsistency and call it understanding. In doing so, she loses the very strength that once made her desirable. Instead of being admired, she becomes easy to take for granted. Compromising standards often comes from fear, the fear of being alone, the fear of rejection, or the fear of missing out. But no relationship, no opportunity, and no amount of attention is worth the loss of self-respect. The more a woman bends her values, the less she recognizes herself. She becomes frustrated, not because others are treating her poorly, but because she allowed it. A woman who refuses to compromise stands with confidence. She does not lower herself to be accepted. She elevates herself to be respected. Those who truly value her will rise to her level, but those who demand that she lower her standards were never meant to walk beside her. Poor emotional control weakens a woman's influence and causes others to question her stability and judgment. When emotions dictate reactions instead of wisdom, they create an unpredictable and chaotic presence. A woman who lacks control over her emotions may respond impulsively, allowing anger, frustration, or insecurity to drive her decisions. She may lash out in moments of tension, say things she later regrets, or allow temporary feelings to dictate permanent choices. Instead of being seen as strong and composed, she is perceived as unstable and difficult to engage with on a mature level. A woman who allows her emotions to rule her interactions often finds herself in unnecessary conflicts. Small misunderstandings become major disputes because she does not take the time to process situations before reacting. She may assume the worst, jumping to conclusions instead of seeking clarity. She may struggle with patience, becoming easily frustrated when things do not go her way. When emotions are unchecked, they overshadow logic, leading to poor communication and broken relationships. Instead of inspiring respect, she creates distance. As people begin to avoid interactions that feel like walking on eggshells. Emotional control does not mean suppressing feelings, but rather learning to manage them with wisdom and restraint. A woman who masters her emotions, responds thoughtfully rather than impulsively. She understands that not every situation requires a reaction, and not every opinion deserves a response. She learns to pause, reflect, and choose her words carefully, ensuring that emotions serve her rather than control her. A calm and composed woman commands respect because she shows strength in the face of adversity. When emotions are managed well, they become a tool for connection rather than a weapon of destruction. Lack of purpose and vision weakens a woman's sense of identity and leaves her vulnerable to being shaped by others instead of defining her own path. When a woman does not know where she is going, she becomes easily influenced by the expectations, desires, and opinions of those around her. She drifts through life without direction, allowing circumstances to dictate her choices rather than making intentional decisions that align with her calling. Without a clear vision, she may find herself chasing after things that do not fulfill her, seeking validation from relationships, material success, or social status, instead of pursuing true personal growth and meaning. A woman without purpose often feels lost and unfulfilled, even when she appears to have everything externally. She may find herself depending on a man or a relationship to give her life meaning, believing that her worth is tied to someone else's presence in her life. She may settle for less than she deserves because she has not taken the time to define her own goals, dreams, and aspirations. Instead of being a leader in her own life, she becomes a follower, waiting for others to tell her what she should do, who she should be, and where she should go. A woman with vision walks with confidence because she has a clear understanding of her purpose. She does not waste time on distractions or meaningless pursuits. She invests in her growth, builds her skills, and pursues goals that align with her calling. She does not need someone else to complete her because she is already whole, driven by a sense of purpose that guides her decisions. A life without vision leads to stagnation, but a woman who knows her purpose becomes a force of influence, inspiring others to rise to greater heights. Ignoring your spiritual and moral foundation weakens your sense of identity and leaves you vulnerable to confusion, instability, and compromise. When a woman disconnects from the principles that ground her, she begins to drift, making decisions based on temporary emotions rather than lasting wisdom. She may find herself influenced by external pressures, adopting values that do not align with her true self, simply to fit in or gain approval. Without a strong foundation, she is easily swayed by changing trends, relationships, and societal expectations, leading to an internal conflict between who she is and who she is trying to become. A woman who neglects her spiritual and moral compass often experiences a deep sense of emptiness, even when everything appears fine on the surface. She may chase success, relationships, or material possessions, believing that these things will fulfill her, but no external achievement can replace inner peace. When morals and principles are compromised, trust is lost, both in personal relationships and within herself. She may struggle with guilt, regret, and confusion, unsure of why she feels disconnected and unfulfilled. The further she moves away from her core values, the more she opens the door to influences that do not serve her well. A strong spiritual and moral foundation provides clarity, direction, and strength. It helps a woman make wise decisions, choose relationships that align with her values, and stand firm in the face of challenges. She does not settle for anything that contradicts her beliefs because she knows that true fulfillment comes from living with integrity and purpose. When a woman is deeply rooted in her faith and principles, she carries a presence of confidence and peace, drawing respect and admiration from those around her. Your value is not something to be negotiated, diminished, or prevent it is something to be recognized and upheld. The way you carry yourself, the standards you set, and the principles you live by determine how others will treat you. When you respect yourself, seek validation from within, invest in your growth, uphold your standards, master your emotions, walk with purpose, and stay rooted in your faith and values, you become a woman of undeniable worth. Never allow fear, loneliness, or external pressure to make you forget who you are. You are not created to shrink, to beg for attention, or to settle for less than you deserve. You are designed with purpose, strength, and influence. The moment you stop compromising and start living in alignment with your true identity is the moment you reclaim your power. Stand firm, walk boldly, and let your presence reflect the greatness that is already within you. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm so grateful you have joined me today, and I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. Ladies, there is a reason you were created. You were not an accident. You were not an afterthought. You were designed with precision, fashioned with care, and placed on this earth for a purpose far greater than you can imagine. But to walk in the fullness of your destiny, there are principles you must embrace, rules that will guide your steps, guard your heart, and ensure that you never live beneath your true calling. First, you must know your worth. The greatest tragedy in life is not death, but a life that never discovered its true value. You are more than what the world labels you. You are more than your past, more than your struggles, more than what anyone has ever said about you. If you do not see yourself as valuable, you will accept anything, tolerate anything, and settle for anything. A woman who knows her worth walks differently, talks differently, and commands a different level of respect. Second, you must protect your mind and heart. What you allow into your thoughts will manifest in your life. If you constantly entertain negativity, fear, and doubt, your life will reflect chaos. Your heart is the seat of your emotions. Guard it with wisdom. Do not let the wrong people have access to your spirit. Do not let pain, bitterness, or past mistakes dictate your future. A woman who protects her mind walks in clarity, and a woman who guards her heart walks in peace. Third, never settle for less. The greatest enemy of greatness is complacency. Many women have settled for less than they deserved in relationships, careers, and personal growth simply because they were afraid to demand more. But listen to me carefully. If you accept less, you were created to thrive, to excel, to be an example of strength and dignity. Never apologize for having high standards. The right opportunities, the right people, and the right doors will meet you at the level of your expectation. Fourth, embrace growth and purpose. A stagnant woman is a declining woman. Growth is not an option, it is a necessity. Read, learn, explore, challenge yourself. Your purpose is waiting on you to rise up and walk in it. Stop waiting for someone else to give you permission to be great. You are already approved. You are already called. Do not let fear hold you back from becoming the woman you were meant to be. And finally, surround yourself with the right people. You cannot fly with eagles if you keep walking with chickens. Who is in your life? Who is in your ear? Who are you allowing to influence your thoughts, your choices, your vision? If the people around you do not challenge you to be better, they do not deserve a seat at your table. Choose wisely, because the company you keep will determine the future you create. Ladies, hear me today. You are powerful. You are gifted. You are destined for something greater than what you see now. Do not shrink. Do not settle. And do not forget who you are. Walk with confidence. Move with purpose. And never let fear silence your greatness. The world is waiting for you to rise. Now go and live by these rules, because a woman who knows her value is unstoppable. A woman's worth is not defined by the opinions of others, the circumstances she faces, or the labels society places upon her. It is an intrinsic value established before she ever took her first breath. Too often the world tries to dictate what a woman should be, how she should look, how she should act, and what she should accept. But the moment she understands that her worth is not up for debate, everything changes. A woman who knows her worth refuses to be treated as an option when she was created to be a priority. She does not beg for attention, validation, or approval because she understands that her value is not dependent on external affirmation. She does not allow temporary setbacks to define her, nor does she let past mistakes diminish her sense of self. She carries herself with dignity, speaks with authority, and walks with confidence, knowing that her presence is significant. When a woman does not recognize her worth, she tolerates what she should walk away from. She remains in relationships that drain her, jobs that stifle her potential, and environments that diminish her spirit. She allows fear to silence her voice and insecurity to limit her growth. But a woman who truly understands her worth refuses to shrink to make others comfortable. She does not settle for less than what she deserves because she knows that her existence alone is enough to demand respect. Recognizing her worth empowers her to set standards, enforce boundaries, and expect excellence in every area of her life. It allows her to walk away from anything that does not align with her purpose. She no longer seeks approval from the world because she understands that she was already approved by something far greater. The mind is the battlefield where victories are won or lost before they ever manifest in life. Whatever a woman allows to take root in her thoughts will eventually shape her reality. If she fills her mind with doubt, negativity, and fear, those things will begin to define her actions and her future. But when she feeds her mind with wisdom, truth, and confidence, she positions herself to rise above every challenge. The voices she listens to, the beliefs she entertains, and the words she speaks over herself all contribute to the direction of her life. A woman must be intentional about what she allows into her mental space because her thoughts will always shape her destiny. The heart is the seat of emotions, and what enters it will determine how a woman responds to life. If she allows bitterness, resentment, and pain to take residence in her heart, they will cloud her vision and poison her relationships. Guarding the heart means being selective about who has access to it. Not everyone deserves a place in the deepest part of her soul. She must recognize the difference between those who uplift and those who drain, between those who build and those who break. A woman who protects her heart does not entertain toxic relationships, does not hold on to past hurts, and does not allow emotional wounds to define her. A guarded mind and heart do not mean a closed-off spirit, but rather a wise one. It means choosing peace over chaos, discernment over impulse, and strength over vulnerability to the wrong influences. It means filtering what she consumes, both emotionally and mentally, and ensuring that whatever enters her spirit aligns with the greatness she is destined for. A woman who knows her value refuses to settle for anything that does not align with her worth. Settling is not just about relationships, it is about every aspect of life: career, personal growth, friendships, and self-respect. Too often, fear, insecurity, and external pressure cause women to accept less than they deserve. They stay in jobs that drain them, relationships that deplete them, and situations that limit them because they are afraid to step into the unknown. But a woman who refuses to settle understands that anything beneath her potential is a disservice to her existence. When a woman settles, she silences the voice inside her that tells her she was made for more. She compromises her dreams, lowers her standards, and tolerates mediocrity. But true fulfillment does not come from adjusting to less. It comes from striving for more. A woman must believe that she is worthy of greatness even when the world tries to convince her otherwise. She must reject the idea that she should be grateful for whatever she gets, knowing that she has the power to demand more from life. Not settling means having the courage to walk away from what no longer serves her. It means refusing to remain in places that suffocate her growth. It means choosing discomfort over complacency, understanding that the road to something greater often requires letting go of what is familiar. A woman who does not settle embraces challenges, seeks knowledge, and positions herself for opportunities that align with her vision. She does not allow loneliness, fear, or temporary difficulties to dictate her decisions. She understands that by waiting, growing, and striving, she will ultimately receive what was meant for her without ever having to compromise who she is. A woman's true strength lies in her ability to grow, evolve, and walk in her purpose. Growth is not an option, but a necessity for those who desire to live a life of impact. Every challenge, every lesson, and every experience is an opportunity for her to rise above where she was yesterday. Stagnation is the enemy of greatness, and the moment a woman stops learning, stops improving, and stops striving for better, she begins to fade into the background of a life that was meant to be extraordinary. Growth requires discomfort, but it also leads to transformation. Purpose is the driving force that gives life meaning. A woman who embraces her purpose refuses to live a life of mere existence. She does not settle for routines that lack fulfillment, nor does she waste time on pursuits that do not align with her destiny. Purpose is not just about career or success. It is about impact. It is about recognizing that she was placed on this earth with a unique gift that no one else can offer in the same way. When a woman walks in her purpose, she radiates confidence, clarity, and direction. She is not easily swayed by opinions because she understands that her path is divinely designed. Embracing growth and purpose means seeking wisdom, remaining teachable, and being willing to step outside of comfort zones. It requires letting go of limiting beliefs, rejecting fear, and pushing past self-doubt. A woman who commits to growth does not wait for opportunities, she creates them. She invests in herself, surrounds herself with those who challenge her to rise higher, and refuses to remain the same. Every day becomes a step forward, a new chapter in a life that is designed for greatness. The people a woman surrounds herself with will either elevate her or diminish her. Relationships are not just about companionship. They shape mindset, influence decisions, and determine the trajectory of life. The company she keeps will either push her toward greatness or pull her into mediocrity. A woman who desires to grow, succeed, and fulfill her purpose must be intentional about who has access to her energy, her time, and her thoughts. Not everyone deserves a seat at her table, and not everyone should be given the privilege of influencing her journey. The right people inspire, challenge, and hold her accountable to the best version of herself. They are not threatened by her growth, but encourage it. They do not compete with her success, but celebrate it. They are voices of wisdom, support, and truth, pushing her forward when she feels weak and reminding her of her worth when she forgets. The right relationships add value, strengthen faith, and provide a safe space for her to express her dreams without fear of judgment. Toxic relationships, on the other hand, drain potential and limit progress. Negative, envious, and small-minded people create an environment of doubt and fear, keeping a woman stuck in cycles of insecurity and stagnation. She must recognize the difference between those who genuinely invest in her growth and those who only take from her without giving back. She must have the courage to walk away from relationships that no longer align with her destiny. Surrounding herself with the right people is an act of wisdom and self-respect. It means choosing connections that reflect the future she desires, not the past she is leaving behind. A strong woman understands that her environment will either cultivate her greatness or suffocate it, and she chooses wisely. A woman who walks in confidence and dignity commands attention without demanding it. Her presence speaks before she utters a word, because confidence is not just about appearance. It is about knowing who she is, what she stands for, and where she is going. True confidence is birthed from self-awareness and an unshakable belief in her worth. It is not arrogance, nor is it rooted in comparison. It is the quiet assurance that she is enough. Enough to take up space, enough to pursue her dreams, and enough to live life on her own terms without apology. Dignity is the strength that holds her together in every situation. It is the unwavering grace with which she carries herself, regardless of the challenges she faces. A dignified woman does not allow circumstances to dictate her character. She does not beg for respect. She earns it through the way she speaks, the way she treats others, and the way she upholds her values. She does not lower her standards to fit into spaces that were never meant for her, nor does she compromise her integrity for temporary validation. Walking in confidence and dignity means refusing to shrink in the presence of those who underestimate her. It means standing tall even when the world tries to silence her voice. It is the ability to navigate life's highs and lows with resilience, knowing that setbacks do not define her, but refine her. A woman with confidence, trust in her abilities, takes bold steps toward her future and refuses to be limited by fear. A woman with dignity respects herself enough to walk away from anything that does not honor her worth. Together, confidence and dignity create a force that is unbreakable, making her a light that cannot be dimmed. Fear is the greatest thief of destiny, silently paralyzing dreams before they even have the chance to take flight. It whispers doubts, magnifies obstacles, and convinces a woman that she is not capable, not worthy, or not ready. Fear is a liar, yet so many allow it to dictate their choices, holding them hostage in comfort zones that were never meant to contain them. But the woman who chooses faith over fear refuses to be ruled by uncertainty. She understands that fear will always be present, but it does not have to be in control. Faith is the antidote, the power that allows her to step forward even when she cannot see the whole path. Faith is more than just believing. It is trusting that there is a greater plan unfolding even when nothing makes sense. It is the courage to take risks, to walk through doors that seem too big, and to believe that she is equipped for everything she is called to do. Fear will tell her to wait until she feels ready, but faith will push her to move even when she is trembling. Every great achievement, every bold decision, and every breakthrough is the result of choosing faith over fear. A woman who operates in faith is unstoppable. She does not allow past failures to define her, nor does she let fear of the unknown hold her back. She understands that doubt may come, but it cannot stay. She surrounds herself with visionaries, speaks life over her dreams, and refuses to let fear silence her voice. Faith teaches her that every challenge is an opportunity for growth, and every delay is preparation for something greater. The moment she decides to trust in the power within her rather than the fear around her, she steps into a life of purpose, strength, and limitless possibilities. A woman who understands her worth, protects her mind and heart, refuses to settle, embraces growth, surrounds herself with the right people, walks in confidence, and chooses faith over fear is a woman who cannot be stopped. She is a force, a light, and an example of what is possible when one refuses to live beneath their potential. The world may try to define her, limit her, or silence her, but she knows who she is and what she carries. She does not wait for permission to rise. She rises because she was created to. She does not shrink to fit into spaces too small for her destiny. She walks boldly into the future designed for her. The greatest tragedy is not failure, but a life lived in fear, doubt, and compromise. The moment she decides to step into her power, she becomes unstoppable. The world is waiting for that woman. The question is, will she choose to rise?